Hi, I'm Michael Woods. I'm the Chief Scientist at the Asian Turfgrass Center, Director of the PACE Turf Information Service, and I'm also an adjunct professor at the University of Tennessee. I visited Knoxville and met with Dr. John Sorochan to learn more about some of the latest research into fine sporting surfaces. Let's check this out.
So this is Kentucky bluegrass, or smooth stalk meadowgrass sod grown on plastic with approximately 65 to 70 millimeters of sand. And you can see what happens is the dense root mass that forms under this, you can produce a harvestable sod in 20 weeks with bluegrass. And the benefit of this is when you come to harvest it, you remove it off the plastic, and we're going to take it to, say, a domed stadium where there's reduced lights, or any stadium. When you lay the sod down, instead of the sod having to regenerate new roots, which it would have to on conventionally cut sod, these roots are intact. So what they're going to do is be a mature sod that's going to try to adapt to those low light conditions, but it's not going to be for root growth, it's going to be shoot growth. One of the things that we're researching is kind of changing the game a little bit, pun intended, is, you know, if you're trying to go grass and you got multi-use events and stadiums that are dome stadiums, and you got a controlled environment where you don't have to worry about rain and all these flooding, do you need a conventional 30 centimeter, 12-inch sand root zone? And so what we've looked at is what we call, and this is stuff we're working with at University of Tennessee and Michigan State University with Dr. Trey Rogers, is called the shallow pitch profile. And what we do is we grow sod on plastic, and it's anywhere from basically 45 to 65 mil in thick, but usually about 45 to 60 mil in thick. And these ones happen to be Lolium and Poa pratensis, Lolium perine, and hybrid stitched, grown on plastic, and we brought them inside.
So in American units, that's about 2 inches or a little bit
little
thicker.
Less than 2 inches, about an inch and 3/4, somewhere around there, inch and 7/8 maybe, sometimes getting close to 2 inches. And then what we've done is we bring it, and we've got this drainage layer, permavoid, and we've tested different drainage permavoid layers, and we find that this 85 mil layer, and then we got a geotextile fabric, and we put the grasses on top, and when we impact it with our foot impactor, it's the same ground reaction forces that occur if they're doing it on a 30 centimeter, 12-inch sand root zone.
And how long does that 2 inch or 45 mil type of depth sod, how long does that last for? Does that last for one event? Does it last for 2 events?
We're looking at this to last for 8 to 10 weeks under these reduced light conditions, and hold up for events for up to 9 simulated soccer games.
Wow.
And if you look at, these have been in for 2 weeks, and if I lift this up, if you get down over here, the benefit of the sod on plastic, you have those uncompromised root zone, and so when you pick it up and you look at underneath, you can see the roots have grown right underneath that, and
Yeah, wow.
and they grow, and you can see they're kind of in circles. So it's almost like a hydroponic system where they're growing in these little tubes, probably, where there's more humidity and everything inside of that, so that's where the roots are growing.
Wow.
So it's kind of a real cool concept that we're discovering with this. And you think of these multi-use stadiums, Dallas Cowboys could have potentially a football game, because it's the same forces being generated as if they're on sand. And then you want to take it out and have a Taylor Swift concert, you can take it out and have a Taylor Swift concert. Come back in, put a new pitch in. So right now we currently have, I believe, 5 different trials going on inside this building. This is called the FIFA building, research building. But we've got a graduate student, Jake Kilby from Michigan State University, who's doing his master's degree, and he's looking at PGR studies, looking at a new and primo in different combinations and rates of them independently under grow lights. And so this is the second run of his master's study in these 3 plots. What we do is we have students run through these, run traffic over them with their soccer cleats, and they're running back and forth and apply wear. And we measure ball bounce, athlete to surface interaction forces, and other, obviously things like DIA, tissue analysis. At the end, he comes and collects his samples and takes them up, and we send them to Michigan State for gibberellic acid analysis to see what the concentrations are with the different PGRs versus the device. Cool. And this is the device that we use to measure the athlete to surface impact. So when we're doing soccer research, we're testing a 75 kilo or 168 pound athlete for men's soccer, because that was the average weight of the last 2 Men's World Cup. When we do American football, we test 95 to 105 kilos, 215 pounds and higher, because they do a little bit more force. But we can measure the deceleration, stopping, acceleration, and a cutting condition. And when we do that, we're measuring this, and we've calibrated this over a biomechanics force plate, so we know that it's the same as a human test subject. So when we come onto these grass plots and test it with Flex, and we're getting the same reaction forces of when we went and tested not Wembley Stadium, but Emirates Stadium, or St. George's Park, the National Training Grounds, or Toronto BMO Stadium for Toronto FC. We've got these corridors that we've tested over 85 professional and Division I college fields to develop baselines and corridors of targets we want to have for traction and performance. The other interesting thing is we can change the cleats, and we can put different shoes on them. And we can have a soccer boot, an NFL boot, or just different configurations of cleat patterns to look at what's best for the athlete for performance and safety. She's also a co-advisor for Conlon for his PhD, and this is an experimental light that he can explain to you.
Yeah. So this is a light where we can actually control the light quality. Being indoors, we have a lot more control over how much light the plant gets, and one of the benefits of that is we can actually control the quality that the plant gets, thus potentially impact how the plant grows with that control. So this light allows us to control the amount of red, blue, and green light that the plant can get. So I'm going to switch it to all red light, to all blue light.
It's like UT orange.
Yep. To even to an orangish color. That makes the grass look terrible, and the whole goal with this is to hopefully ascertain how does this light quality actually impact how the plant grows. And we can go.
And this is your PhD project?
One portion of it, yes.
One portion of it. But we can only get one of these lights at this time right now.
Well, that's cool.
But you can do the whole spectrum. You can control individual wavelengths.
How narrow is the wavelength that you can apply through this? Like usually that's in nanometers,
right,
isn't it?
Yes.
So can you apply just 500 to 510, or like how narrow can you go?
510, right?
You can control specific nanometers within it, and it has like a range depending on the nanometer. Like we have a far green one that controls a lot more than just green. We have blue, which is specifically like right at 525 and a little plus or minus a little bit.
Cool. And what can we expect to see if the wavelength is narrower or wider? Or if it's blue or red, end of the spectrum?
It should impact how the plant grows, whereas some preliminary research Sorochan has looked at that blue light to help achieve more short, sturdy growth, more traffic tolerant, more rooting, whereas the red light is more enhanced growth, etiolating a little bit more, growing more quickly.
When we've done work looking at high blue light, we've been able to increase the secondary metabolites, the zeoxanth and the xanthophylls, by 20 to 35% in the plant. The carotenoids, A and B, we've been able to increase those. We've also been able to increase lignin content in the leaves with high blue light by 35%. So we've been able to do that, make that short, sturdy grass maybe more durable, but we know grass is a living organism, and if we abuse it, it will die. So then once it's worn out, we can come back with the high red light and get that elongation effect and get the grass to grow and recover faster. And what we want to find is what's the good recipe of maybe high red light, orange light, to get the grass to grow and recover, and then reverting back to the blue light. How long does it take it to get it back to that short, sturdy, durable, wear-tolerant texture? The Zoysia grass NTEP trials here. We've got a combination of Zoysia matrilla and Zoysia japonica varieties. This has been in here for 5 years. You can see they're going to seed in the spring. Some of them are going to seed, some are not. We have a huge variance in growth in terms of mowing frequencies that you would require. Some of them don't even need any mowing at all, some of these experimental varieties. And some of them get more disease than others. Some green up better.
Some scalp?
some scalp a lot.
Or is that winter
That's
damage?
just winter damage, and it just has, that one doesn't grow. And these are planted from little plugs, and this is after 5 years how long it took to recover. And you can see this Japonica's invaded it. So it just doesn't grow. And you see some of those in Southeast Asia where they plant it and no one ever mows it and they just sit there forever. And I think these are some of those off lineages or progenies, maybe selections from there.
Yeah, there's so much diversity, and you see that in these seed heads,
Yeah.
where some of them have no seed heads and others are purple right now.
Yeah, our grandmas would love these plots because it looks like a big patch quilt, doesn't it? So it's kind of exciting to see this. So need to start plugging my home lawn.